Greetings, bloggers, vloggers, followers, and potters. Dustin here from Dustin's Dynasty, here at you again with another edition of this week's vlog. Before we start with the vlog, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Dustin. I'm a middle-aged autistic man. I also has co-occurring mental health challenges. We've been living life through 4 decades or more with autism in some capacity or another. Currently, I've been working over 16 years part-time, and it's been my own job, and I've been living independently for most of 8 years now. So I've been living life through autism, growing, learning, and maturing. And that's what we're talking about today. This is number 400 of the vlogs I've been doing. While some early on were in double, we did two a week. Now we're doing one a week, and it's a little longer, but it's been about 6 years since I started really being heavy about Dustin's Dynasty. And I think COVID lockdowns have been a part of that, starting that process, and maybe having some services early on that encourage me to do that, to come out and tell my story slowly and surely, and we're still doing that. Life is still here. We're still growing and maturing. We're still learning more, even in our middle ages. And that's the nice thing about autism. I mean, you think you're stuck in this rut, or maybe that it just goes away at 18, but it doesn't. And, even as I get older and I grow and I mature more every day, I learn more about myself. I become more of a person of who I want to be and what I want to do and how I want to do things. And it takes time. And I think sometimes we don't realize that we as autistic people ourselves want to be so down and out about ourselves, or have negative self-talk, or not willing to do the things that we need to do. But it's like anything, you have to want to do it. And by not wanting to do it, you just keep digging yourself in that rut. You keep overthinking the things you want to do, but if you don't put yourself to it and do it, it'll never happen. But in the same vein, um, I've never seen some of the greatest autistic people who, if they want something, they go for it. And I've been that person many times. I've went to school, I've, done things, and I still do things. But, it's part of learning and growing. And like I said, I started this vlog over 6 years ago, and has it not been perfect all the way? No. But we're in a better place now. We're in a much better place. We're still learning, we're still growing, we're still maturing. And I think that's part of life. I think that's part of life that we see now, that, maybe many of us around are my age, or and that we're becoming adults. We're growing. Life is getting longer. There's longer life expectancy, hopefully. Yes, things like medicine get in the way, but we do what we need to do to combat those side effects that come along the way. And we work through them. We get through them as best as we can. We do the best, to cope with life and the challenges. And there's so much more about autism now than what we knew when I was first diagnosed over 4 decades ago. And it takes time to learn and grow and be more mature about things, even. But it's so great. It shows that the world is so great if you give it the chance. Life isn't always perfect, but if you give it the chance, it will get better. You will grow more, you will be more. But it's something. And I never thought even that I'd be here today in this, independent living situation, and is truly independent in its own sense. And, despite everything that has changed over the last few years, with family, with my work, with my day services, I'm still here and I'm still thriving and I'm doing best. Yes, I may have had a crash out. Yes, I may have had a setback, but I'm still here. And, the funny thing about that is, more than ever, I think I want to be in day services, when 2 years ago that may not have been the case. I saw the number 20, been here 20 years, and maybe I need to move on. but maybe that wasn't the soundest decision. And sometimes it takes having those serious conversations, those real hard conversations to realize that you need to do something and take care of yourself and do what's right for you, not for what you think you need to do. And it took me a long time to see that. It took me a long time to understand that. And now I see it, and I'm doing much better because of it. You know, anybody who has been through the host of changes that I have been through over the last 2 to 3 years would understand it. It would be hard on anybody. Changing the way you navigate the world to, having, a new supervisor at work to, having two family members with life-sustaining injuries, that would definitely bring a lot to bring you down. But you keep going, you keep being your best that you can. You don't give up. I think that's one of the biggest things, when we talk about, self-harm and all those things that, autistic people are more prone to do. I don't give up. That's one thing. I know it's you have to keep going. You have to find those connections that work for you. And that has been a big help the last few weeks to the last few months. And ultimately, if it wasn't for them too, that wouldn't be that part. But it's also understanding, like I had said in last week's vlog, I am who I am. I have special needs. I am autistic. I have, you know, other conditions. I have a disability. And, as we're navigating through this month into what will be Disability Pride Month here in the States, that will be something that I will have to acknowledge and will bring more to topic. But, it's part of life. And sometimes, we're made as who we are and to be who we are. Despite what anybody thinks or believes, we have to be ourselves. We have to do what is for ourselves. We have to do what is best for ourselves. And life, sometimes opens doors to new things, to new ways of doing things. And, it's about being receptive in that regard too. It's about building more bonds and more friends, and I would have never thought of things like that. I would have never thought of things like introducing myself to someone, maybe somebody, new in the neighborhood or whatever. And that, you don't think those things and, how you learn and grow and you become brave enough to put yourself out there more and more every day. I couldn't imagine that doing those things. I can't imagine doing all the things that I do now and how much I have grown in the past 10, 15, 20 years to be where I am today, to do the best that I can do and still thrive and be the best that I can be in this world because I'm worthy of it. I'm loved. I matter. I am enough. And that's it's not about always about me and boasting on me, but it's realizing that I've been through a lot in life, and in those past 6 years, even since starting this channel and writing the blog every day, that it gets better, and you see that and you know that. And I would have never dreamed to be doing the things that I do. And even the past 2 years where, I had thought about running away from something, but realizing I had to be patient and let things work out. And I'm still learning things that I should have known had been needing to do all along and do and be there for the people that, not only need me, but show that I can be the shining light, show that I can be the example and still learn to do things just as much as anybody else that I share the table with. It shows that, you can do great things if you put your mind to it. And I think it really does mean that. And that you can, you know, if yet it never does become a reality, if you fight through the fear, fight through the anxiety, and push yourself forward. You have to push yourself forward. If you don't do that, you're not going to get anywhere. And as hard as it can seem to be that way, it's just the reality of life. It just happens that way. Life goes on, and people move on in your life. People age, people get more mature, they get older, things happen to them. That's part of life. And I guess I'm part of understanding that too, and learning that, I am continuing to create more of my own path as life goes on, and be more of the person who I want to be, and be the best person who I want to be. And it's not dictated by somebody what they want to believe or what they think I should do. Maybe they are the boosting point or the kicking point to be real, but Remy, see that how important it is to do things that matter, and see that even though I may not want to do those things because it's easier to do X, Y, Z, that doing ABC really matters and why it's important. And that's important for a reason, and it matters for a reason. So I want to wish everybody a good rest of their weekend. Um, be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, X, Pinterest, and TikTok. That handle is Dustin's Dynasty. If you haven't already, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, and tap that notification bell when new vlogs come in. As always, be sure to follow any of my links that you may find on Linktree. There you'll find everything about I write my daily vlogs and my blogs. I'm sorry, and I share a meta post every day. I do many things, including a weekly email that has everything that I share online, and maybe the things you missed, and maybe a little more. So I want to thank you again for listening. Let's have a good weekend, everyone. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe out there. Remember, you matter. You are loved. You are enough. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.